Hey, this is Ryan of Happy Healthy Vegan. So, many of you that are aware of this topic know it's a true fact about reality that animal agriculture is responsible for more greenhouse gas emissions than even transportation. Well, if you ever got into a discussion about this with someone who's an advocate of, say, low-carb paleo dieting, they'll reply back saying, well, that's just nonsense, because if you raise cattle on grasslands, let them free range out there, that's actually beneficial for the environment, they say. They say well-managed soils and grazing can actually sequester carbon. And as a result, you see these pseudoscientific blog posts from people like Rob Wolf writing that it's necessary to eat animals. Yeah, it's necessary, he argues, because eating animals will help us improve our planet's water, methane, and carbon situation. Well, like I said, given that animal agriculture is responsible for more greenhouse gas emissions than any other human activity, these claims from people like Rob Wolf and other paleo guys, those are some pretty extraordinary claims, and as such, there should be some pretty extraordinary evidence in their favor. Well, the Food Climate Research Network studied exactly this. They spent 2 years reviewing over 300 peer-reviewed studies, published a paper recently. I'll link to it in the show notes. It's there for all of you to check out. And they studied exactly this. What was the effect of free-range cattle on the environment? Was it as friendly, environmentally friendly, as Rob Wolf and other low-carb paleo bloggers say? Well, one fascinating fact that the researchers pointed out was that grass-fed beef production contributes very little to the overall world food supply, about just 1 gram of protein per person per day. As a whole, cows and beef of all sorts contribute to about 13 grams of protein per person per day. So grass-fed beef is just 1/13 of that total. However, this study found the shocking conclusion that the proportion of greenhouse gases coming from grass-fed beef was way out of whack, given their small contribution to the overall beef production. About 1/4 to 1/3 of greenhouse gases from beef production comes from just grass-fed beef. So what these researchers concluded was that whatever little, if any, tiny carbon sequestration gains that might be had from grass-fed cattle means doesn't even come close to balancing out all the methane that these cattle produce. But most people don't realize that methane is a far more potent greenhouse gas than carbon dioxide. It traps about 100 times more heat in the atmosphere than carbon dioxide does over a 5-year period. And these grass-fed cows produce more methane than their factory-fed brethren. About 40 to 60% more methane, more destructive methane. And paleo people don't like to point out that these grass-fed cattle use more resources, more land, and more water in their lifetimes as well. So despite what people like Rob Wolf and other low-carb paleo bloggers are saying, grass-fed beef is not a solution to climate change. Far from it. As we saw here, it's actually worse in terms of releasing a disproportional amount of greenhouse gases. But it's worse than that. And not only does it not help solve climate change, it creates new and disturbing, more destructive land use patterns. Want to see what happens when a country goes all in on grass-fed beef? Well, let's take a look at what happened in Brazil.
Brazil has lost nearly 1/5 of its rainforest already, and the ongoing destruction means it's the 4th biggest source of greenhouse gases in the world.
Cattle is the main driver of the Amazon destruction. More than 80% of the deforested area is already occupied by cattle.
Actually, maybe even worse than that. Animal agriculture could be responsible for up to 91% of the Amazon rainforest destruction.
More than 70 million cattle are living in the Amazon right now.
The cattle industry in the Amazon is the single largest cause of deforestation on the planet. Huge areas of rainforest are slashed and burned to clear the way for cattle pastures. And the problem is getting worse.
As devastating and tragic as that video is, it shows very clearly the inefficiency of raising grass-fed beef. There's just not enough room on planet Earth to let all these billions of cattle roam, so there'll be enough grass-fed beef for all the world's growing population to eat. There's just not enough land mass on planet Earth. So whenever you see Paleos saying, well, we need grass-fed beef to save the planet, well, the question asking, well, what planet? Because do you have some extra planets to put these cows on? Because there's just simply not enough room here on planet Earth. And as we've shown too, it's just more destructive greenhouse gas wise. Methane's a way more potent destructive greenhouse gas, and grass-fed cattle put out way more methane, so it's not a good solution. And in the report, the researchers concluded, yeah, grass-fed beef is not a solution to climate change. In fact, about the only thing they said that the people could do if they were serious was to reduce their meat consumption. I want to add, well, yeah, that's true, but why not just fully reduce? Why couldn't they say just eliminate meat completely from your diet, as many of us have? And we know very well it's very healthy, not only for us, it's healthy for the planet as well. So I think they should have had some mention of vegan diets in their paper there. I mean, what they're trying to do is save the planet and show what options people have, and reducing is one, but eliminating is even better. That's even more fully addressing the situation. So let me know, post your questions and comments down below. Have you read any of these paleo bloggers or had any discussions with low carbers saying this stuff, how we need to kill animals in order to make the land healthier and make the planet healthier? It's better for the waters of the world and better for our atmosphere situation. Well, this study shows the opposite to be true. Those are just myths. So if you're low carbon paleo, maybe you mean well, and now you've seen what the science actually says. So maybe you want to actually think about eating all that meat and maybe switching to a vegan diet. So let me know down below if this video makes any impact in your decision to quit eating all that meat and eat more plants instead. So I want to hear from you guys. So that's it for this time. Until next time, guys, everyone here, keep it carb, baby, keep it carb.